Why do most videos teach men how to deal with women, but not the other way around? Think about it. Scroll any platform and you'll see it everywhere. How to understand women, how to attract her, how to respond when she pulls away. But where are the videos teaching women how to understand men? Why is the focus almost always one-sided? Before we go deeper, recently someone commented on one of my videos and said something important. They said they watched all my videos and liked them, but this topic should be more neutral, because both men and women play these games. And honestly, that's a fair point. Because this video is not about blaming women, and it's not about defending men. It's not men versus women. It's about understanding what's really going on beneath the surface. Why things look one-sided online. Why certain conversations dominate, and why confusion keeps repeating itself in modern dating. So let's break it down. The first reason is simple: demand. Most people think men are the ones always looking for answers, but that's only half the truth. Men don't seek more answers, they just do it louder, online. When a man is confused, he searches, he types the question, he watches videos, he looks for a clear solution. He treats dating like a system he needs to understand, improve, and navigate more effectively. But there may also be another reason, one most people rarely admit. For many men, confusion can feel like weakness. Not because asking questions is weak, but because many men are conditioned to look like they already know what they're doing, especially around other men. There's pressure to appear confident, experienced, unbothered, capable. There's pressure to act like rejection doesn't affect you, like mixed signals don't confuse you, like you naturally understand everything. So instead of openly saying, "I don't understand this. What does it mean?" many stay quiet. Not because they don't care, but because they don't want to look unsure in front of friends. They don't want judgment. They don't want their vulnerability mistaken for weakness. They don't want honest confusion to be interpreted as incompetence. So rather than asking publicly, they search privately, on their phone, at night, in silence. Not always because the internet has better answers, but because sometimes private searching feels safer than public vulnerability. Because for many men, it's not just about finding answers, it's also about protecting pride, protecting image, protecting the version of themselves they feel expected to maintain. But women? Women don't search the same way. They don't always open YouTube and type, "How to understand men." They often go to something more natural for them, real-time feedback. They talk to friends. They compare experiences. They read emotions. They analyze behavior. They look for patterns through discussion without always needing a formal step-by-step guide. So from the outside, it looks like men are the only ones trying to figure things out. But in reality, both are searching, just in different arenas. Men search in private. Women process in social circles. Men want answers. Women often want confirmation. Men often seek solutions. Women often seek perspective. And that difference changes everything. Because when you search, you look for certainty. When you discuss, you look for perspective. One is direct. One is layered. One tries to solve the problem. The other tries to understand the situation. And neither is automatically better. They're just different approaches to uncertainty. And here's where it gets interesting. The one who feels the most pressure to get it right is usually the one who searches the most. And in dating, that's often men. They're expected to initiate, lead, approach, risk rejection, plan, stay composed, and somehow understand unspoken dynamics all at once. So when something doesn't make sense, they feel it immediately. And that pressure pushes them to find answers fast. Women don't always carry that same pressure early on. They observe more than they chase. They respond more than they initiate. So they don't always feel the same urgency to figure men out step by step in the beginning. Now let's talk about communication style. Men are generally more direct. If a man likes a woman, he often shows it clearly. If he doesn't, he usually pulls back or says it more plainly. Women tend to communicate differently. Not wrong, just different. More indirect, more subtle, more layered. They may hint, they may test, they may observe. They may expect you to read between the lines. And that creates confusion. Not because women are complicated by default, but because the communication styles often don't match. One side may say less, but imply more. The other may say more, but analyze less. And when styles clash, misunderstandings grow. So what happens when there's confusion? The person who feels lost starts looking for answers, and most of the time, that's men. Now let's answer the question directly. Who is more frank and direct? On average, men. Men often tend to say what they mean more quickly. If they want something, they often express it. If they're upset, it often shows more clearly. Women often filter more. They may consider emotional consequences. They may consider delivery. They may avoid direct confrontation in certain situations. They may soften the truth, delay it, or communicate it indirectly. That doesn't make one better than the other, and it definitely doesn't mean every man or woman fits this pattern. But broadly speaking, it can create a gap, and that gap creates interpretation, and interpretation creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates a market for answers. That's why content explodes around understanding women. Not because women are more difficult, but because indirect communication naturally creates more room for guesswork. Now flip it. If men were more indirect, more subtle, more emotionally coded, you'd likely see the opposite. You'd see thousands of videos teaching women how to decode men. But men are often easier to read. Their signals are often clearer. That reduces the need for large-scale content about understanding men. There's also a social factor. Women often talk to each other more openly about relationships. They share, analyze, compare, and get feedback in real time. Men don't always do that as much. Not because they don't care, but because many were never taught to process relationships that way. So instead of asking friends, they go online. They search privately. They learn quietly. And sometimes, that privacy isn't just convenience, it's protection. Now here's the part nobody talks about. All this searching, analyzing, asking friends, watching videos, it can actually make things worse. Because most of it is speculation. It's guesses. It's outsiders interpreting situations they're not even part of. You hear 10 different opinions, and suddenly something simple becomes complicated. Friends project their own pain. The internet generalizes behavior. Content creators simplify complexity for views. Forums often assume the worst. And before you know it, you're reacting to theories instead of reality. You're reacting to fear instead of facts. You're responding to assumptions, not the actual person in front of you. So instead of searching for answers everywhere else, try something most people avoid. Direct communication. Ask, clarify, say what you mean, and give the other person the space to do the same. And here's something important. Direct communication in relationships is not strange. It's normal. In fact, it's expected over time. But the moment it's needed the most is often at the very beginning of any connection. That early stage where people hold back, test, assume, overanalyze, and fear saying the wrong thing, that's exactly where clarity matters most. Because being frank is not a bad thing, especially when it's done with respect, maturity, and self-awareness. You can be direct without being aggressive. You can be honest without being rude. You can communicate clearly without being harsh. You don't need twists. You don't need games. You don't need manipulation. You don't need to mislead someone just to protect your ego or image. Clarity doesn't push the right person away. It filters the wrong one faster. And that saves time, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. Yes, it feels uncomfortable. Yes, it's not how most people are wired. Yes, vulnerability can feel risky. But clarity is still stronger than confusion. Honesty is still healthier than guessing. and respectful truth is still better than endless speculation. You can't change human psychology overnight. You can't force men to stop searching. You can't force women to stop interpreting. But you can choose to be different. You can choose clarity over guessing, understanding over ego, conversation over confusion, maturity over mind games. Because most problems in dating aren't caused by evil intentions. They're caused by misunderstandings, bad assumptions, unspoken expectations. And misunderstandings don't always need more analysis. They often need more honesty. So if you really want things to move forward, stop trying to decode everything from the outside. Stop letting strangers define your situation. Stop building stories before you build understanding. Start building clarity from the inside. That's how things actually get better. That's how healthier connections begin. And once you understand both sides, you stop chasing answers from noise and become the one who creates clarity for yourself.